No one actually prepares you for what happens after the show. The reverse phase or the recovery phase, where the stage lights go down, your body starts to change again. Suddenly, it's you against your mind again, like it was through prep. I wanted to make this video for anyone who's currently navigating a reverse or a recovery phase and who's scared of it, because I've been there. And I hear you. We're going to be talking about food focus, we're going to talk about body image, comparison, weight gain, and how to actually find freedom and peace again after prep. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video here with me. If you are tuning in for the first time, thank you so much for being here. If you are a returning listener, thank you for being here too. I love you. I've been getting a lot of love here on YouTube and a lot of people sending over DMs or coming over to the Instagram from here. I'm so grateful. Keep the love coming, guys. It really keeps me going and it makes me so happy. A common theme that has been popping up since Season C Nationals in Australia has wrapped up is a lot of people talking about the recovery or reverse phase after prep. It's super challenging. You're navigating things like weight gain, you're navigating things like body image issues. Besides that, your hormones are likely going to be reestablishing to base levels, which comes with mood swings, moodiness. Like, there is so much that actually happens in the recovery phase or reverse phase of bodybuilding that I would go as far to say that when you get to the end of your prep, don't think that just because you've gone on stage, that is the end of it. I would see that as actually the halfway point. It's definitely a different type of journey, but it's still definitely part of the prep as a whole. We're going to be unpacking it today. I'm going to be talking about my experiences. I've only done one prep. I turned pro in this first time, so heading into my pro debut, I'm going to be implementing a lot of new things when it comes to my reverse, definitely now that I've been through it once before. But I also want to preface this by saying there is no right or wrong way to go about a reverse or recovery phase. Everyone is different, and it's purely sometimes just getting through it and being like, this worked for me. Maybe I can try this next time, if there is a next time. If you love bodybuilding and you're a little bit crazy up here and kooky and you're like, I want to starve myself again to go on a stage and pose for like 5 minutes. So anyway, guys, let's get straight into the video. I want to start with food focus because this one is hard after prep. To make it on stage, you go through months and months of structure, tracking, and discipline where every single gram is tracked. So suddenly being told that, hey, you actually have freedom again, it can be both super exciting but also super daunting because it's like, wait, whoa, I can actually choose what I want to eat now? I also really want to preface this whole entire video by saying, please don't leave your coach after you finish your show. The reverse phase is arguably, I think, the most important time to be guided by a coach for longevity's sake or sustainability's sake in this sport. The reason being that when you have this freedom of choice, whether you're working with a coach who's telling you, you can eat intuitively, or maybe you can just reverse slowly, and obviously you're going to be under a coach's guidance, and if it's a good coach, you'll have a back and forth and it'll be collaborative. You'll be able to express your concerns and your challenges along the way, and they can help you. But this is really interesting and really challenging because your hunger and satiety cues after a show are likely out of whack. So of course, your mind becomes loud around food. The thing for me that I had to learn was food focus is actually not a sign of something being wrong. It's actually a sign that everything is working in your body as it should. The background of this is that if you've, for a prolonged period of time, been eating very little and expending a lot, while your mind and body are interlinked, your brain might know, hey, I'm doing this because I'm going through a competition prep. All your body knows is the feedback and the data and the behaviors that's going on. Your body doesn't know that, oh, hey, I'm actually safe. I can let go of the hormonal dysfunction. Your body will just respond and your body just does its thing. Just because your mind knows that, hey, I'm coming out of competition prep doesn't mean that your body is going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Satiety cues got you. Hunger cues got you. Like, let's just go back to normal. It actually does take time to reestablish all baselines. This food focus is actually a sign of your mind and body working cohesively and doing their job. It's quite literally just trying to find equilibrium again. I hear a lot of stories of people falling into binge kind of behaviors after show. If you're going and eating a bunch after show, so long as you're not feeling guilty and you're not experiencing like feelings of shame or sadness or anxiety afterwards that perpetuates that cycle, babe, do you. There is no issue. The issue comes from your mentality behind it. If there is a lot of shame and anxiety and there's guilt, that essentially perpetuates this cycle of binge eating behavior, feeling sad, feeling guilty, feeling shameful, and then reaching for food again to kind of comfort. And that's where people can get really stuck. The thing that I encourage anyone, not just the people who are going through binge kind of eating behaviors, which I also would recommend seeking professional help. It doesn't mean that you're broken. Like I said, this is a very common thing after show. The things that can also help is to ride the waves. Know that these cravings, this kind of like this super laser focused thoughts on food, this is just your body being like, I'm hungry. And of course you're hungry. You've just starved yourself for maybe like 16 to 18, maybe longer weeks when it comes to a prep, or you've been maintaining, who knows the situation. But essentially it's okay that your body is hungry. Try and be really mindful about what you label good versus bad food. Obviously there is more nutritionally dense foods and otherwise not so nutritionally dense foods. However, I would encourage you to zoom out and just ask yourself, what do I actually need? What does my body actually need? And sometimes what you want is okay too. Like for me, I just wanted a banging sandwich. I want one of those fancy sandwiches. I want like really small slices of pear in it. I want to go to some like gourmet sandwich place and just be like, oh, that is the one. That was my body like, I need carbs, I need fats. That's not to say that I wouldn't turn down a donut or two either, but I knew that what my body actually needed was probably more nutritionally dense things than a donut. Again, this is just me, and this is not me saying that donuts are bad, but when it comes to the black and white thinking, try and just remove it and go neutral and be like, this food is quite nutritionally dense and I could enjoy that. This food is also very enjoyable, but maybe not as nutritionally dense. What does my body actually need? And beyond just the food focus type of stuff, sometimes your body needs structure, sometimes it needs freedom, and both are okay. Just ride the wave, acknowledge that this thought or this impulse might be really, really intense at first, but if you just like breathe through it, give yourself a bit of time, the food is not going to disappear, then you can make some more kind of like grounded decisions on what you want to eat. Just know that it's not about perfect control. You don't have to have perfect control anymore. It's actually about slowly rebuilding trust with yourself and your body again. When it came to post-show for me, I was feeling super lost, and I have an incredible coach who is also super chill. Some coaches are extremely meticulous about how you reverse or go through a recovery phase, and that again, nobody is right or wrong. Likely if you've chosen a coach, they work well with you and they align well with you and your values. For me, Scott is quite chill. One thing that he did really emphasize was, if you end up going kind of like off track or like overeating, don't feel bad, don't slam yourself with a bunch of cardio, just take that as what it is and move on. The first couple of days for me, I was like, I think I still do want to track, and I still do want to stay on plan. It's really interesting because sometimes it can still feel wrong no matter what you do. It can feel like, oh, some people over here are not tracking and some people here are like staying on plan. When it comes to not tracking and freedom of choice goes far beyond just freedom of choice of food. Freedom of choice also goes for whether you want to track or whether you don't want to track. At the end of the day, it's something to be used as a tool rather than an identity. I went straight into a reverse after show. I was still eating on track, like loosely macro tracking, but I went through a time within that first couple of months where it was quite challenging to actually track. I did bring food scales with me, but I went off to a little island with my beautiful partner and some friends. We weren't able to cook all of our own stuff like normal. While it was a challenge, it was actually really good for me to bring the food scales around if I wanted to. I also was like, you know what, I'm gonna try eyeballing stuff and just like chuck things in my fitness pal and be like, okay, this looks like roughly this amount of chicken. It was probably cooked in maybe this much butter or oil, and kind of letting go of that perfectionism that you have, or like that really meticulous structure that you have during prep is a challenge, but it's also quite necessary, for me at least. And I think that it is really important to sometimes have meals without tracking or weighing them. My directive from my coach was have a couple of cheat meals. If you want to have 2 off-plan meals where you don't track them, by all means, go for it. And then we slowly tapered back to 1 off-plan meal a week. Now, 6 months down the track post-show, I'm back to having 1 off-plan meal a week, and otherwise I'm tracking everything. But it did take time to get back to this baseline. And I honestly feel like that freedom of choice that I had is what actually creates sustainability in the long term. Because for me personally, if I had have just continued tracking, satiety and hunger cues are actually really important once you're able to start listening again, because it builds that self-trust with yourself and your body. healthy, but they do take time to normalize. You can't heal your relationship with food if you are obsessing over the scales all the time. Which now brings me to a big topic of weight gain and body dysmorphia. I could talk probably a long time. Maybe there should be an individual video kind of like dedicated to this topic. Let me know if you want to hear it, because for the sake of this video, I don't want to make it super long. But weight gain is something that I think freaks a lot of competitors out, myself included. I really struggled. Quite a shock to me actually, because for me, peak build, I was like, I'm a curvy queen, like I don't really care. And my identity is not so much based off, the conditioning of my body. It's more about how I'm feeling, what I'm doing for other people, how I show up in the world. But when it came to putting on weight post-show, with hormones out of whack, also probably added stress with grief and things like that, it can be really difficult to navigate, and also really difficult to fight the illogical thoughts, which you know are illogical. However, your body and your brain are still getting back to baselines, like I keep saying. So if you are one of the people who is kind of scared of weight gain, let me just tell you this plain and simple. You need to gain weight. You are not losing progress by putting on weight post-show. You are actually restoring your health. To be stage lean all year round is just not sustainable, and it's not healthy. And very often, if you get really honest with yourself, the physical changes are actually not the things that are stressing you out. It's more the mental ones. As human beings, it is very natural to compare. We've seen ourselves get to a point where it's like, wow, this is the best I've ever looked. Then when it comes to the reverse, you're comparing yourself to something that is not sustainable and also really unhealthy long term. And while you might know that logically, I understand, because this was me. And even though you know you have to gain weight in order to recover, in order to be healthy again, it can be really challenging seeing those changes happen. Here are the tips that really helped me. Focusing on how you're feeling in the gym. You're actually eating more, which means you can lift more. Focus on that. And bodybuilding is an incredibly superficial sport when it's based on all aesthetics. But likely the reason you got into bodybuilding was not because you just wanted to look shredded. Maybe that's a part of it, but you would not have been able to get to stage if you didn't like training. So really focus on the passion and the strength behind the things that are outside of aesthetics. Remind yourself every day that what you're seeing in the mirror does not reflect your worth. Start focusing more on performance, your energy and joy, the things that actually keep you thriving outside of bodybuilding, because there is a whole big wide world outside of competition prep and your identity as an athlete. Feed into those things now. Another tip that has helped me is just accepting that these things, body dysmorphia, the challenges that come with weight gain, do not just vanish overnight. Fades when you start appreciating your body more for what it can do for you rather than how it looks, but it also does just take time. And I want to be really real with you on this one. So I'm actually going to show you some clips of me pre-show, before nationals, looking with my normal healthy brain. I'm looking at that and I'm like, I actually look quite sick almost. And thank goodness for the stage tan, because it really does pump some life back into you. But this is not a sustainable look. This is not something that is maintainable all year round. Let's look at me about, I think this was probably 3 weeks post-show. I look similar, but quite bloated, likely a lot of digestive issues happening here because we're eating more food again. I was eating heaps into the show because carbing up and things like that, and also my weight just kept dropping, but that's a separate thing. While I was eating a lot into the show, when you start implementing different foods and you have that freedom of choice again, you're likely going to be inflamed, you're likely going to be bloated, you'll likely be feeling like a little bit more sluggish, which also impacts the way that you're seeing yourself. Because if you're feeling mentally clear or not sluggish and you're feeling like happy, joyful, all of that, you're also probably likely going to see yourself differently because your perception is based off your emotions and how you feel. Here you can see I'm quite lean kind of amount of body fat. I had put a decent amount of body fat on at this point because we were trying to get my period back, get those hormones back, but I was very inflamed. I was very bloated. Now, if we look here at my most recent visuals, this is me back to my everyday, like walking around, non-bodybuilder kind of physique. Let's compare the visuals from pre-show, post-show, and now. And let's just look at this. Let's normalize what this actually looks like, okay? This is not actually about comparison. This is about reminding you and me that this is all part of it. This is bodybuilding. Your body is going to shift and change, not just if you're in this sport, but to be honest, all through life. It is not a reflection on anything aside from your habits, your lifestyle, and your priorities. On this side, my habits and lifestyle was to be stage lean because I was going into nationals for an IFBB bodybuilding show. Here, my physique reflects all of those goals, right? My physique reflects my lifestyle choices, my habits, the extensive amounts of cardio that I was doing and the very little amount of food I was eating. Here, my body and my physique reflects that probably more of a transition phase. My body is still getting used to things. My lifestyle and my priorities are different here than what they were when I was working towards nationals. And then now we can look at working more towards a build phase, so I have more muscle density heading into my pro show. This physique will change. I will get more fluffy than this. I will put on more body fat because that is what's required to put on muscle as well, and that is what will be reflecting my goals. The truth is that you can't stay stage lean all the time, and you can't have balance and peace and freedom while also starving yourself to maintain a look that's meant for a moment. So now, instead of looking at these different physique packages in a way that compares the physique itself, we can look at it and be like, this reflects the lifestyle and the lifestyle choices and priorities that I have. Perfect. Try to look at it with gratitude, because your body is not losing what it's worked for. It is responding to the hard work that you've done and recovering from that. Now, comparison when it comes to social media. Everyone posts their best angle. No one's process is linear. Just because someone on Instagram might have like a really good photo looking super lean and still shredded, doesn't mean that they're not having their own challenges when it comes to the reverse. Some people stay lean longer and some people don't, but neither is better or worse. If you find yourself scrolling and feeling triggered, set boundaries with yourself. Mute, unfollow if you need to. You owe yourself peace, not comparison. I just want to wrap this up by giving you the biggest takeaways for me during my reverse and into post-show. Routine and structure, those things are going to save you. Just because you don't necessarily have something to work towards, having a routine and structure that feels good for you, just having anchors in your day, whether that is food anchors, being like, okay, I want to make sure that I have this amount of protein still. Pillars to give you pinpoints, even if you're not tracking. 2, focus on your strength in the gym. Focus on how you're feeling, your energy, and the things that help you thrive outside of your bodybuilding athlete kind of identity or hat. Number 3, really take the time to be grateful for your body. These challenges that are coming with the reverse and recovery phases post-show are actually extremely normal and indicates that your body and brain are doing their thing. And just remember as well, your body is healing and recovering. It is not regressing. Number 4, for me, journaling and reflecting was incredibly supportive when it came to my reverse phase post-show. Write down the hard thoughts, get them out on paper before they spiral. If you notice certain tendencies or notice certain cravings, notice certain impulses, write those things down and see if you can flesh out a more logical way of going about things. When you are in a state of mind that is quite impulsive, you're thinking with your amygdala. That is the part of the brain that is being activated. It's very fight or flight. It is the emotionally driven part of the brain. If you're writing these things down, you are using a different part of your brain, which then becomes easier for you to kind of be more logical about this stuff. Just write down the thoughts, see what comes up, and you might be surprised. This can actually be a really helpful tool for you. And number 5, which I think is probably most important for me, is community. Lean on people around you. Talk to others who get it. Reach out to other athletes. Reach out to your coach. Lean on people who are there and willing to help you. The reverse can feel really lonely, but you really aren't alone. So guys, with all of this being said, if you are in a reverse or a recovery stage right now, please know that this phase is just as important as the prep. It is where real growth happens, not just in your body, but also in your mind too. So really be present and learn who you are beyond the stage. You've likely gone through a long time of commitment and discipline to get yourself to a point where you've been on stage. Please celebrate yourself for that. If this video has been helpful for you guys, please please drop a like or drop a comment. I'd love to hear your experience, or shoot me through a message on Instagram. And of course, subscribe for more content on this stuff. If you can make someone smile today, then you have done your part in making the world a better place. And with that being said, my loves, I will see you in the next video.